Now I thought I'd explain a little bit about some of the terms I'll be using today. Apologies for those of you that know all of these. In terms of a hierarchy, so in effect, the most substantial bases that the Romans built were their legionary fortresses, and these can be quite huge in size, 20 hectares or more. And these were the big headquartered bases across Britain, and one was built in Scotland in the 1st century at Inchtothil, and this is it here. We've then got vexillation fortresses, which are a little trickier to actually identify with any confidence, but they essentially hold mixed forces, and they're usually quite big, and this is the crop mark of one down in southwest Scotland. And then we've got Roman forts, which are in many ways the backbone of Roman army accommodation, and these are the garrison posts that we find in quite a lot of places across northern Britain, because anywhere where you need a strong military presence, you need to house the soldiers. Then we have smaller ones in terms of fortlets, and these would have hold smaller units, and you quite often get them in networks in areas which are perhaps not that secure. And then actually you get them on frontier fortifications. So on Hadrian's Wall, you get these every mile, so they're known as mile castles. And we've got a number of them on the Antonine Wall as well. Towers, I say these are usually freestanding, although obviously in the case of this one, this is one of the reconstructions in southern Germany, which would have been attached to the wall, the linear barrier there. And then we have camps, which, as Kirsty's already mentioned, is my particular specialist area. And these were the temporary housing structures for soldiers. And in Scotland, most of the ones that we've got, we can identify as being soldiers on the march. So it's troops who are away, mostly on campaigning, probably only occupied for a few nights or weeks at best. So the archaeological evidence they leave is not a massive amount, because as you can imagine, a bunch of people camped in a space for a week is not going to leave the same amount of material left to be found nearly 2 millennia later by archaeologists than a garrison stationed in a fort for 20 years. But we have got some, I always like these literary references. Vegetius writing in the late Roman period, basically referring to a camp as a walled city that they carry around with them. And then we've got one from Josephus, who was a contemporary of the Jewish war in the 1st century AD, talking about refusing battle till they fortified their camp, having the engineers with them. But interestingly, he wrote that they fire the camp, which they can easily reconstruct if required, lest it might someday be useful to the enemy. Well, given the amount that have actually survived in the landscape, they can't have fired all of them. And obviously they're built with different materials. The materials they used to build them in the Near East is very different to what they had at their disposal in Scotland.